Are you looking for all the latest pro football news and content? Of course you are. Who doesn't love football? The question is, how do you get all the latest pro football news and content? There's so many different pro football podcasts on the internet. Which one do you choose? Which one is the right fit for you? Well, you go with the Cross the Middle Show, one of the fastest growing podcasts out right now. Over the past year, we've climbed the Spotify rankings and become a show you have to listen to if you're a football fan. Find out the Ravens will go all the way with Odell Beckham Jr., find out the Eagles did enough to make it back to the Super Bowl. You'll get all of our best stories for just $1 per month. All you have to do is sign up by clicking the link in the episode description box. I'm John Kuzma. Welcome back to another great episode of the Cross the Middle Show. We have the Dak Prescott story. We're also going to talk about Jalin Hyatt. So let's get down to it in this latest episode. We're going to talk about Dak Prescott first. Dak Prescott is under a lot of scrutiny. He's receiving a lot of pushback from a lot of people. A lot of the Cowboys fans don't like him. He's even taking heat from his own teammates. Trayvon Diggs recently told Dak Prescott to shut your ass up, bitch, in practice. Not a very nice thing to say to your teammate. But let's not forget that the offense and the defense are competing in practice. They're pushing each other to be the best they can be. And, it's really competitive. We see these things happen all the time in training camp. We've even seen fights break out between teammates. So how do you guys feel about Trayvon Diggs, basically cussing out Dak Prescott, saying that to him in training camp? To me, I think Dak Prescott takes a lot of heat, and I think a lot of it is unjustified because people are so focused on the interceptions that they forget all the good things that Dak Prescott has done. They forget that this team has become more of a contender since he's been there. They forget that they've been closer to winning a Super Bowl since he's been there. And I know a lot of people say, well, John, that's because Micah Parsons, that's because of the defense. Well, Dak Prescott is still pretty good at distributing the football to his playmakers, getting the ball out to his weapons. Those are things he's always done well. I mean, look at the yardage that he's piled on. I mean, obviously, he is pretty good with his football IQ. He is pretty good at, throwing the ball downfield. He does have a live arm. Yeah, he has to, clean up the turnovers a little bit, stop throwing so many interceptions. But sometimes quarterbacks in the NFL struggle sometimes. And not just quarterbacks, all players in the NFL struggle sometimes because the competition is so stiff in professional football. You can't just focus in on all the interceptions and forget about the big picture and forget about all the good that Dak Prescott has done. I mean, the guy can play. There's no doubt about that. And you look at all the other quarterbacks, how many quarterbacks could you bring in that are better than Dak Prescott? I mean, free agents, not many. I mean, if you get a guy in the draft, the chances of that player being a bust are very high. I mean, it's going to be tough to replace Dak Prescott. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, the guy is a good player. I think people are just so focused on what happened this past year, and I think people kind of forget that the Cowboys have such a big platform, and so many people tune into Cowboys games that if their quarterback isn't up to expectations, they're going to take a lot of ridicule just because so many people watch the Cowboys. So Dak Prescott has, big shoes to fill just because he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. I mean, it's not an easy job to have. Yeah, the expectations might not be as high when it comes to winning Super Bowls because this team hasn't really won since the 90s. But at the same time, the Cowboys are a team that is followed by just about everybody. Everybody watches the Cowboys. Everybody tunes into the Cowboys. So if Dak Prescott isn't playing up to the level he should be, I guess you can say, a lot of people are going to be coming after him. Remember, the Cowboys have the highest rated games. The ratings for their games are off the charts. The biggest games with the most viewers are always Cowboys games. Like the top 5 games every year are almost all Cowboys games. So there's a lot of people that come after Dak Prescott if he doesn't perform up to the level that he should be. That's just the reality of the situation with Dak Prescott. And like I said, the guy can throw the football. Don't lose sight of that. Don't get so caught up on the interceptions that you think, okay, it's time to stick a fork in this guy, because I don't know if that's the right move for the Cowboys. He does a great job of getting the ball to CeeDee Lamb. He can throw the ball deep to CeeDee Lamb. He brought out the best to CeeDee Lamb. Those two are one of the top quarterback and wide receiver tandems in the league because of the progress they both made together. And, Dak Prescott talked about it on, I think it was Hard Knocks. He said he loves to throw a go route to CeeDee Lamb. Those go routes have helped CeeDee Lamb become one of the best wide receivers in the league. The guy can play, man. And Dak Prescott has been the guy, delivering the football to him over and over and over again. You look at Brandon Cooks. I've already seen in training camp, Dak Prescott has done a great job of throwing the ball to Brandon Cooks. Those guys have done a good job of stretching the field vertically. So there's two deep threats there for the Cowboys. You have CeeDee Lamb, who's great at going deep. You have Brandon Cooks, who's great at going deep. Let's not forget Michael Gallup is still there too. So there's guys there that Dak Prescott can get involved in this game plan and, really open things up. And, you got to go back to that playoff game against the Buccaneers. Dak Prescott was good in that game. He's had some really bright moments, and he's had moments where he's thrown the ball so well, which is why he's had so many yards at some points of his career. He's been productive, and like I said, the Cowboys have gotten closer to winning a Super Bowl since he's been the leader of this team. That's the bottom line. You don't always just get it all at once. The Cowboys are making progress. They're chipping away at it. Yeah, that defense is a big part of it too. Yeah, Micah Parsons is a big reason the Cowboys are getting closer. But, Dak Prescott has, done some good things for this team, and I think Cowboys fans are definitely losing sight of that. It's something they don't want to, it's something that shouldn't be lost on them, so to say, because Dak Prescott can throw the football. The other thing we have is the Jalin Hyatt story. So Jalin Hyatt is a burner. This guy has a little bit of Tyreek Hill in his game, and he's been doing such a good job with the Giants of going deep, and he's just so fast that his speed is creating mismatches for the Giants offense because these defensive backs can't keep up with him. And because Jalin Hyatt is so fast, it kind of limits what the defense can do because they don't want to run cover one and run man against him because they'll get burned. They don't want to run cover two because he's going to get over top that corner in the flats, and it's tough for that safety to get over top and get over top of someone like Jalin Hyatt because Jalin Hyatt is so fast. So what does the defense have to do against Jalin Hyatt? They have to run a corner three with cornerbacks bailing. So the cornerbacks lining up 7 to 10 yards off, playing soft coverage just to keep Jalin Hyatt in front of that cornerback. Then what's that open up? Opens up the curl routes, opens up the out routes, opens up bubble screens. So it makes the defense vulnerable. And then even if the cornerback is 7 yards off and playing a bailing cover 3 technique, Jalin Hyatt is so fast that he starts climbing on the corner. And it starts to become a neck and neck race because Jalin Hyatt is so fast. And he's got some God-given gifts. There's a reason that he's outstriding everybody in practice because, like I said, he's a burner. And, you look at this Giants offense. You got Darius Slayton, who's really good. You have Jalin Hyatt, who's shaping up to be a track star. Got a little Tyreek Hill in his game. The Giants also have Darren Waller now at tight end. That's big for the Giants. Saquon Barkley decides to come back and play. There's weapons all over for the Giants offense, and they're spread out a little bit. In the past, they weren't spread out at all. It was Darius Slayton and Saquon Barkley, and they went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. I think this year, they're looking really good on offense because you have Jalin Hyatt, which was huge for the Giants. The fact that draft pick panned out for the Giants is huge because now you have Darius Slayton and Jalin Hyatt on the outsides. Who's in the middle at tight end? Well, it's Darren Waller, who is a freak of nature athletically. You have Saquon Barkley, who's still going to do all the dirty work and do serious damage on the ground. Daniel Jones is getting better. We've seen him start to shape up into a good quarterback. And then you have Brian Daboll, the guy overseeing everything and making sure that the game plan gets executed. take a look at this offense. They're for real. That's how big the Jalin Hyatt pick ended up being for the Giants, because now the defenses can't just focus on Darius Slayton. They have to respect Jalin Hyatt too. And guess what? Hyatt is a guy that is going to outrun the defense at least 3 or 4 times a game, because that's what he does. It doesn't matter what defense you call. He's going to get behind you just the same way that Tyreek Hill gets behind the defense, because these defenses can't match up with that speed. And, Jalin Hyatt is actually, on the field, he's just as fast as Tyreek Hill on the field. That was, according, I think it was like Next Gen Stats or something. That was really shocking to me, because Tyreek Hill is so fast. So the fact that the Giants have their own version of Tyreek Hill and Jalin Hyatt, it's a really good sign for this team. They also got Darren Waller too, one of the most physically gifted tight ends in the league, who's almost like a wide receiver more than a tight end. I mean, how fun is this offense going to be to watch? I'm telling you guys, the Giants are in great shape. They are shaping up. And Brian Dable, Coach of the Year, a guy that already put his stamp on this team and already has the team buying in. And then you start adding pieces to the puzzle. Jalin Hyatt, Darren Waller. I mean, they're looking good. This is the year that Daniel Jones should be able to show what he really can do, because it's not just Darius Slayton and Saquon Barkley anymore. Now it's Darius Slayton, Jalin Hyatt, Darren Waller, and Saquon Barkley. They have an offense now. They have an offense. That's just the reality of the situation. There's playmakers on the field. There's weapons that can get it done. I'm liking the direction that this team is heading, and Jalin Hyatt is a big part of their long-term plans. They hit on this guy, and I mean, he was the same way at Tennessee with the Volunteers. He was a deep threat that was tough to defend because he was just so fast. The fact that it's translated over to the NFL, the fact that they still can't run with him even though it's the pros, that's instant offense for the Giants. They're not going to be able to cover him because they can't keep up with him. And now there's going to be the big plays for the Giants. They're going to be more explosive. And it's not just Jalin Hyatt. Darren Waller is going to bring some explosive plays too. There's already been talks that, Darren Waller is catching a bunch of catches every single practice because they're just feeding him. And, guess what? Darren Waller is good enough to just take over games because that's how physically gifted he is, especially in the red zone. In the red zone, he can out-jump anybody and go up and get it and come down with the football. So you have Jalin Hyatt going deep on these post routes or go routes and picking up big chunks of yardage. And then you get down to the red zone, you throw it to Darren Waller. Oh yeah, don't forget Darius Slayton is a guy that can flat out play too. So I'm really excited about the Giants. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on the rest of these teams. They're looking good in the NFC East. Jalin Hyatt, Darren Waller, those guys really are going to come through for this Giants offense, which is going to be huge for this football team. There's no doubt about that. Really, that's all I got for this latest episode of the Across the Middle Show. I'm John Kuzma. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sign up for just $1 per month by clicking the link in the episode description box. I'm John Kuzma. I'm signing off. Have a great day.